Grandpa Ned had survived wars, buried a wife, and raised 3 children on a factory worker's salary, but nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for the words his 8-year-old granddaughter would speak on her birthday. Words that would shatter his heart into 1,000 pieces before revealing a truth that would reshape their entire family. The morning of Emma's 8th birthday arrived with the kind of golden sunshine that makes you believe in second chances. Grandpa Ned stood in his small kitchen, carefully piping frosting onto a homemade chocolate cake, Emma's favorite. His weathered hands, steadier than they had any right to be at 72, guided the pastry bag with the precision of a man who had done this every year since his granddaughter was born. "Perfect," he whispered, adding the final rosette. 8 candles stood waiting on the counter, their wax bodies straight as soldiers. Ned had moved in with his son Michael's family 2 years ago after Martha passed. The arrangement was supposed to be temporary, just until he got back on his feet, as Michael had delicately put it. But grief doesn't work on a schedule, and somehow temporary had become permanent. Not that anyone seemed to mind. Emma adored having him there, or so he'd thought. The house began to stir. Michael's heavy footsteps on the stairs, his daughter-in-law Sarah's lighter tread, and then, the sound that made everything worthwhile, Emma's excited squeals as she remembered what day it was. Grandpa, is it ready?" She burst into the kitchen, still in her princess pajamas, dark curls wild around her face. "Happy birthday, sunshine." Ned opened his arms, and she crashed into them with the full force of 8 years of life and energy. The day unfolded in the chaotic, beautiful way of children's birthdays. Friends arrived at noon, their voices filling the house with shrieks and laughter. Sarah had organized games in the backyard, and Ned watched from the porch, content to observe Emma's joy from a distance. She was growing up so fast, seemed like yesterday she'd been a toddler, holding his finger as she learned to walk. As the afternoon wore on, Ned noticed something. Small things, really. The way Emma's smile would falter when she looked toward the house. How she kept glancing at her phone, the new one Michael and Sarah had given her that morning, against Ned's private opinion that 8 was too young. The whispered conversations with her best friend, Olivia. When it came time for cake, everyone gathered around the dining table. Ned had given up his seat to one of Emma's friends and stood near the doorway, camera ready to capture the moment. The candles flickered to life, and voices rose in the birthday song. Emma looked beautiful in the glow of the candles, her face bright with anticipation. But as the song ended and everyone shouted, "Make a wish," Ned saw something cross her features, a shadow, a moment of pain so acute it stopped his breath. She closed her eyes, blew out the candles. "What did you wish for?" Olivia demanded. Emma's eyes found Ned's across the room, and then, in a voice barely above a whisper but somehow audible in the sudden quiet, she said, "I wish I didn't see you daily." The room froze. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. Michael's face went pale, then red. The children looked confused, sensing the shift in adult emotions without understanding it. Ned felt the words hit him like physical blows. Each one a hammer strike to the chest. "I wish I didn't see you daily." His granddaughter, his sunshine, the little girl he'd rocked to sleep, taught to ride a bike, read stories to every single night. She wished he wasn't there. For a moment that stretched like eternity, Ned couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then, summoning strength from some deep reservoir he didn't know he possessed, he smiled. A real smile, though it cost him everything. "Don't worry," he said gently. Before anyone could respond, he turned and walked out of the dining room, through the kitchen, and out the back door into the garden. Behind him, he heard Michael's voice, sharp with anger. "Emma Marie Thompson, what on earth?" But Ned kept walking. Past the rose bushes Martha had planted, past the swing set he'd built with his own hands. He found himself at the far corner of the yard, by the old oak tree, and only then did he let himself lean against the rough bark and close his eyes. "I wish I didn't see you daily." He'd become a burden, of course he had. An old man, taking up space, eating their food, disrupting their lives. He'd been foolish to think otherwise, foolish to believe that. "Grandpa." Emma's small voice cut through his thoughts. He opened his eyes to find her standing a few feet away, tears streaming down her face. "Go back to your party, sweetheart," Ned said, trying to keep his voice steady. "You don't understand." She was sobbing now, the words coming out in hiccuping gasps. "You don't understand what I meant." "I think I do, Emma. It's all right. You're allowed to feel." "No," she stomped her foot, frustrated. "Grandpa, I didn't mean, I don't want you to go, I want you to stay, forever and ever." Ned stared at her, confused. Emma wiped her nose on her sleeve, a gesture that would have made Sarah scold her under normal circumstances. "Last week, I heard you talking to Dad. In the kitchen, late at night. You said maybe it was time to look at those retirement homes, that you didn't want to be a burden." The conversation came back to him, he and Michael discussing options, practical things. Ned had been trying to be realistic, responsible. "I've been so scared," Emma continued, her voice breaking. "Scared you'd leave. And today I got this phone, and Olivia was showing me how you can video call people, and I thought," she took a shuddering breath, "I thought if you moved away, at least I could still see you, not daily, not in person, but on the phone, and that would be better than not having you at all." Understanding crashed over Ned like a wave. "Oh, Emma, oh, sunshine. I wished I didn't see you daily because I wanted to see you always," she wailed. "Not just while you live here, but forever, even if you moved, even if," she couldn't finish, overcome with tears. Ned dropped to his knees, ignoring the protest from his joints, and pulled his granddaughter into his arms. She clung to him, her small body shaking with sobs. "I'm so sorry," she kept saying. I'm sorry, everyone's mad at me and I hurt you and I didn't mean." SHH, I know baby, I know." Ned smoothed her hair, pressed a kiss to the top of her head. "You didn't hurt me, you could never hurt me." Over Emma's shoulder, he saw Michael and Sarah approaching cautiously. Sarah's eyes were wet, and Michael looked stricken. "I heard her explain to the other kids," Sarah said quietly. "Ned, we had no idea you were thinking about leaving." "I didn't want to impose," Ned said, still holding Emma. "You've got your own lives, your own family, an old man getting in the way." "Dad," Michael's voice was firm, "you're not in the way, you are family. You think we let you stay out of obligation? Emma asks for you before she asks for us half the time. Sarah and I have date nights because you're here to babysit. This house has been a home again since you moved in." "It was so empty before," Sarah added, kneeling beside them. "After you came, it felt complete, like we didn't know something was missing until you filled it." Emma pulled back from Ned's chest, her face blotchy and tear-stained. "Please don't go, Grandpa, please. I want to see you daily, every single day, forever." Ned looked at the three of them, his son, his daughter-in-law, his granddaughter, and felt something shift in his chest. For 2 years, he'd been living as a guest, careful not to take up too much space, always ready to leave if his welcome wore thin. But these weren't the faces of people tolerating an inconvenience. These were the faces of people who loved him. "Well," he said, his voice rough with emotion, "I suppose that retirement home will have to wait, at least until you're old enough to not need your old grandpa anymore." "That's never," Emma declared fiercely, "never ever." They made their way back to the house together, where confused 8-year-olds were demolishing cake, and Emma's best friend Olivia was trying to explain to everyone what had really happened. The party resumed, louder and more chaotic than before, but something had fundamentally changed. That evening, after the guests had gone, and Emma had fallen asleep surrounded by new toys, Ned sat on the porch with Michael and Sarah. The night was warm, full of cricket song. "I've been selfish," Ned said quietly. "So focused on not being a burden that I didn't see I was making you all feel like I had one foot out the door." "And we should have told you more clearly how much we want you here," Michael countered. "Not just for Emma, Dad, for us too. Sarah's parents are overseas and you," he paused, choosing words carefully. "You make this feel like home, like the home I grew up in." Sarah reached over and squeezed Ned's hand. "Emma's not the only one who wants to see you daily." Later, Ned stood in Emma's doorway, watching her sleep. The new phone lay on her nightstand, and he understood now what she'd meant. She'd been trying to build a bridge to a future where he might not be present, because at 8 years old, the thought of losing another grandparent was terrifying. But she wouldn't have to build that bridge, not yet, not for a long, long time. He thought of Martha then, and of all the years they'd had together, all the ordinary daily moments that had built a life, breakfast conversations and evening walks, shared glances across rooms, the comfort of presence. Emma wanted that with him, daily, every single day. The next morning, Emma shuffled into the kitchen to find Ned already making pancakes, her birthday breakfast tradition, extended one more day. "Grandpa," she climbed onto her usual stool, "I'm sorry I made everyone upset yesterday." "You didn't make anyone upset, Sunshine. You just helped us all say things we should have said sooner." He flipped a pancake expertly. "But I want you to know something. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. You're my family. Daily, weekly, yearly, I'll be here." Emma's smile could have powered the whole house. "Promise. Promise." And Grandpa Ned kept that promise, showing up daily in the small, steady ways that matter most. Because sometimes the greatest gift we can give the people we love is simply being there, day after ordinary day, building a life together one shared moment at a time.